Hey, Sister Girl.
Hey, I know. Hey, sister girl, listen, look at there. January. We are still in January, and this is World Carnivore Month in January. So, with that being said, freedom. Today is Martin Luther King Jr.'s birth day, and we are celebrating. So, freedom isn't just a dream, it is a choice we make every day. This Martin Luther King Day, join us as we explore how the principles of justice and empowerment align with reclaiming your health through the carnivore lifestyle. Now, let's break free from the chains of chronic illness. Y'all hold on, because I'm getting ready to show y'all some visuals. Y'all know I'm visual. We're going to build a legacy of strength, health, and freedom for ourselves and our communities. It starts with what's on your plate. I can't tell you guys enough. Are you ready to take this first bite? Insulin resistance, that's the thing that we talk about the most. And I say it is January, World Carnivore Month, but I am going, y'all, I'm on a cruise ship. And some of the people might even be peeping in on the show. But I did take pictures from behind. I want you to see what insulin resistant looks like. And normally when I start with this picture here. I do this because if we went to the farm or we went to our friend's home and we saw animals that looked like that, we will be ready to call PETA. We'll be, we'll be in an uproar. Well, let me just show you what I am looking at. And if you're familiar with any of these things, right, then let's go. Here's the first one. This gentleman, and I've removed everybody's head so you can't see. One of his ankle and foot was so big. It, if I had to guess, maybe he's going to have it removed. Um, but he's on a ship. Are you familiar with body shapes like this? This is inflammation, insulin resistance that we talk about. This one hurts my heart the most because this is a grandfather. That's the grandbaby in the son's arm. That's three generations right there. And we have said it is okay to be on a scooter. And you're scooting and motorize yourself right back to the table that's making you sick. So, here's another one. I'm when we're walking, and here's another one. All of this, guys, that's insulin resistance. But today, honey, during MLK Day, we're going to fix this. So we're going to today, being Carnivore Month this month, we're going to highlight some connections in regards to freedom. You're going to break away from this food addiction that we have. You want um you should be sick and tired and sick and tired. There you go. You should want to be that Mima, Big Mama, Grandma, Gigi, whatever your grands call you. They shouldn't always see you sitting on a sofa. That should not be the way that our lives are, sister girl. It isn't. And I love how we come on Mondays, an advocate, right? An advocate for you in showing you what we can do, right? To get ourselves in line and in order to be fabulous, because that is what we were intended to do. So, what we're going to do, we're going to start this time with the science behind food addiction and chronic illnesses. We're turning it. Oh, wait a minute, y'all. I'm gonna say it before she said it. I need y'all to see my sister girl shirt. Go show us your shirt. Come on, sister girl. The metabolic revolution. Y'all better need to know it is time for a change. All right. It is Denitra. Hey, everybody in the comments. Listen, share this. You know somebody who's in insulin resistance. You know somebody that, hey, sister girl, this is our job to adjust the crown and pick our sister up. All right. Go ahead, Denitra.
Yes, good evening, everybody. So glad for another Monday. And today is a special day. It is
Okay.
MLK Day. And so we know that MLK, civil rights leader, a legacy of resilience and fighting for us. And so tonight, we just want to use tonight as a way to dive into how his fight is also our fight. And so I am tonight wearing the Metabolic Revolution shirt. I spent time in October at the first Metabolic Revolution rally with a group of folks. My husband and I both were a part of the Parade of Proof. And the Parade of Proof was an opportunity for us to show proof that if you change what you eat, you can be healthier. And so you can find that on YouTube, Metabolic Revolution. Tonight, I'm going to invite you to do just what we did in the 60s, is fight for our right to good health. And so we'll dive into that a little bit more. But before that, let's talk a little bit about this science related to sugar addiction and how we got to this place. Because where we can say that sugar and processed foods are everywhere today, in the 60s, it wasn't so prevalent. As a matter of fact, the harsh reality for Black Americans during that time is that not only did we not have access really to sugar, we didn't have access to food, period. Our economic um, status at that time caused us to really have to fight just to eat. And so we became a very creative people in order to. I'm sorry, G is making me laugh because she's herself sideways. Oh my goodness. G said, let me just drop out. That was hilarious. So, hey, sister girl, we have so much fun on the show. So essentially, that economic hardship was totally a different situation and circumstance when it came to Black Americans. And so we were often in a space of being segregated. So not only were we segregated in, as a people, but we also had segregated plates. Let me get my slideshow going. I almost forgot I had one. Sorry. Gee, you done threw me out, honey. I was holding a straight face for a long time, G. I was like, oh my goodness, G is turned to the side. What are we going to do next?
And the sad part is I don't even I put a post, I put the link up that you shared with us about the metabolic revolution. And I looked, I said, oh my God, I just turned sideways. That was funny for me too. Go ahead. I'm glad everybody got a laugh.
Yes. Are you all able to see my screen now? I can't hear.
Yes, you can. Yes, we
Yeah.
can see you.
Okay, nice. Thank you. So again, tonight we are celebrating Martin Luther King, his legacy for justice and how it truly intersects with our health. And so tonight I'm just going to spend a little time going through the history, the science of how we kind of got to this place of food addiction and chronic illness. It definitely is deeply rooted into how we would treat it as a people, where we were allowed to eat. And so in the 1960s, truthfully, as we talk about this being carnivore month, the lack of access to meat in Black communities is what led us to plant-based diets. So again, I want to let that resonate for a moment. And so this transition for us was us really becoming creative. We became a creative people to figure out what to do with what we had. And so we created dishes that ultimately we still use today. And they have become a part of who we are, a part of it. We call it a part of our culture. And then in the
Soul
80s,
food.
yes, it's coming. And then in the 80s, we got into this industry of ultra processed foods where they started using this same agriculture. And I've told you all before about Philip Morris getting out of the tobacco business to get into the sugar business and basically make it chemicals just like they did with tobacco. And so now we are deeply ingrained in these ultra processed foods simply because for us, meat was not accessible for us. It wasn't available to us. And so how we fell into these food addictions is because of the preservatives that are in the foods that we now choose. And G says this often, that there is a chemist somewhere studying your palate in order to make sure that you are addicted to these ultra processed foods. And all ultra processed foods are rooted in some type of plants. That's why they're called ultra processed. They have processed the plants in a way to make them palatable. But it was common for us, and the reason why it seems like a smooth transition is because it is actually something that we created. So eating collard greens and eating sweet potatoes was not the original plan, but we made it a part of us because we did not have access to meat. And so we needed to feed ourselves. And so if you take a look here around this legacy of the segregation of plates, I mean, in this picture, it looks like this Black family is just able to go to the store and buy what they want. But we know for a fact that this was not always the case. We were given what was left over. We were given what wasn't desired by
chitlins.
So from chitlins to hog maws to pig feet to the toughest parts of the meat that were not desirable to someone else. And we did good. Let me just give us a pat on the back. We did good because we've made those things good, right? We have learned about a slow cooker. So, I'm not sure who invented the slow cooker, but I would venture to say that it started with us boiling meat in a big pot to soften it up for us to even ingest it. And so then when you look here, in slavery times, there was this limited access. We were denied access to nutritious food. We were only given the least desirable cuts of meat. But guess what? Again, our resilience, our resourcefulness, exactly what we're celebrating today, this lack of access caused us to be creative. So we turn plants like beans, collard greens, sweet potatoes as a source of sustenance. But they were never meant to be the primary source of nutrition. And again, I just want to pause and let us digest that, right? This was never the main source. We did what we had to do, right? So their resilience, the challenges, despite that, we displayed this resilience that helped us adapt to our circumstances. So now we don't even think about it. We just have made this be a way of life for us without even thinking about where a sweet potato came from. How did we start eating beans? How did we start eating collard greens? How did we start eating greens? And I know me too. Like, we love our vegetables, but we
have a hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. Let me turn to
No. Wait a minute. Here's the thing. You said something, and I just had to hear it, and I feel that it needs to be said again today. That everything outside of meat is a plant. It's like you last week you talked about the cake, and that thing stuck with me because what we're saying, especially in the ultra process, flour originally was a plant.
Correct.
So everything that somewhere somebody told us to eat, and that go hit them with the kale. And I'm quiet, but that's what I wanted you to touch a little bit, so understanding exactly what we're talking about. I thought that was beautiful. Look at it, y'all. Everything outside of meat is a plant.
It is.
Go ahead.
It is indeed. And so anything that doesn't come from meat, whether it's dairy, whether it's the organs, that's why we say we can eat nose to tail, simply because that is how we can sustain ourselves. But in our creativity, and I want this to be a history lesson for us for how we got to this place. And we ultimately got to this place of being plant eaters, being soul food eaters, because we did not have access to meat. And this is why, if you think about it, if you were a soul food eater, if you think about it, it's why we boil it in the meat that we do have. So you notice that we don't boil greens with a ribeye steak. We don't boil greens in a sirloin, right? We use pork because that's what was accessible to us. And it was the worst part of the pork at that time. So they thought it was the worst part. We're going to go there because it ain't the worst part. But to them, it was the worst part. But we made the best of it. And that's our resilience on this MLK Day. And so when you think about what we did with greens was try to make them taste as much like the meat as possible. So while boiling the greens to make them soft, that is exactly what we were doing to the meat. We were trying to tenderize the meat. So this is why we have slow cookers. This is why we, at my grandmama's house, we had these big giant pots that you fill them up with greens and you put, the hog maw, you put the neck bone, you put all of those things in there. But this is why. So tonight is a little bit about history so that we can understand these things that have become commonplace for us today are not necessarily primary or the key to how we're supposed to be eating. We have adapted to this way of eating, okay? And so let me go here. So soul food, you mentioned it earlier, right? This is what we call it because it is the food of our souls, right? We were in desperate situations. And again, we made the best of it. So it is really, when we call it soul food, essentially what we're saying is that this is a celebration of strength and survival. We were in full-blown survival mode. So even the beans that you love, the black-eyed peas, the pinto beans, these are foods of survival because we didn't have something else. So while working in the fields for the masters, we figured out how to make these things palatable. And so now what has happened is that the industry, the food industry, has taken our good ideas. Wink, wink. Have you heard that before? Taking our good ideas, and they have mastered, in a sense, this ultra processed food way of eating. And so now we're not fighting with not having access. Now we're fighting with options, the choices that we make, the convenience that we're looking for. So before it was more about survival. Now it's more about convenience. So we buy all these packaged foods. We're addicted to the Oreo cookies, the sugars. And so we continue to eat this way because our palate has been cured, if you will, for that. And so you've probably heard this term often about food deserts, and we talk about living in communities where there are no access to whole foods, whether it be meats, whether it is fresh fruits and vegetables. We live in communities where these things don't exist, right? Because they've changed that up for all of these ultra processed foods. And so this even goes back to when we are working with food banks or we're feeding the homeless. I can remember going to programs where, if you came and you brought a canned good, you were doing good. If you brought something non-perishable, just think about that. When I tell on here often that seeds don't die. So these non-perishable foods are what we are consuming. And this is what we're feeding to people. And so I'm saying this out loud and challenging even food banks to figure out how to get meat to people who are having to come to them for food, how to get them eggs, how to get them butter, right? Because we're working with people who not only have a food desert problem, they probably also have a sickness, a chronic illness that is tied to insulin resistance. And because of that, we want to try to feed them in a way that treats both, right? We can treat your hunger and your illness, right? These disparities don't have to continue to exist. And so it begs the question of, how is it that a homeless person or a person, and I've heard this often, I've heard it, where people like, they must not be that homeless. Look how big they are. Or look, they got all this weight on them. But the food that they do have access to is not nourishing their bodies. And so you can go and get a 2-piece from some chicken place that is less expensive. And so you've eaten that with the potatoes and the biscuits, and somebody gave you that and patted themselves on the back and thought they did a great job. But that indeed is spiking your insulin, and that insulin is making you store that which you ate. And so how do we take control back? And you know, all of us, that's me, G, and Robin, we practice a carnivore way of eating. And for us, carnivore has become a healing agent because we were making choices and decisions about our eating, in most cases, trying to be healthy. G and I both have experienced being a vegan. We both experienced being a vegetarian. And so with that, we thought we were doing the right thing. And I've said to you all often that I'm working with pescatarians who are only eating seafood and plant-based foods. When you take meat out of your diet, you have just subscribed to a sugar-based diet. I will continue to say that to you, and you're not getting the nourishment. So if you're wondering why you are not releasing weight while weight is on you, it's not just the cakes and the cookies. It is all of the sugar that you are eating on a daily basis because your body is not getting the nourishment. So the question becomes, can a meat-based diet be the answer? And the answer is yes. How do you start to take back control of your eating and your health? The first thing, and I say this often, you must eliminate processed foods and ultra processed foods from your diet. Focus on meat, focus on eggs, focus on fish. Those foods are going to give your body the nourishment. So where we have, you know, arthritis in our ankles, and we have all types of skin issues, we have PCOS, we got these hormonal problems, women who are going through menopause right now, it is directly tied to the foods that you are eating. Take these ultra processed foods, and I know. What I hear from you all often is, I love my vegetables, I love my fruit. My doctor, and shout out to my doctor, Dr. Yvonne Moore in Memphis, Tennessee. Dr. Moore said, let's start eating the foods that love you. These foods don't love you. They are giving you a fast track out of here. And I'm saying tonight, start there. If you're not jumping right into carnivore, which you should, I would say at least start there. Start eliminating. Focus on nutrient-dense foods. What do I mean by nutrient-dense? Nutrient-dense means you are getting the most nutrients out of a food that you can. Most plants, most fruits and vegetables, while they have nutrients in them, our bodies are not able to metabolize them to be able to retrieve the nutrients that's in them. Not the case with meat. And so tonight, okay, let's continue to think about how do we empower ourselves. So a quote that I found very interesting by Dr. King says, of all the forms of inequality, injustice in health is the most shocking and inhuman. And so essentially, we are being allowed in this country to eat in an inhumane way. And let me give you some examples of why it's inhumane. And I've used this analogy on here before, which is a lion only eats meat. Right? I had to say to my own self, sitting in my backyard, like there was a time where I didn't have bird sense. A bird knows to use plants, mud, and sticks, and that type of thing to build a nest. So guess what we're doing? We are eating what we should be using to build something. So guess what? It's building up inside of us. And this is why we have this inflammation on our body. It is directly tied to plant eating. You must educate yourselves. You come to our show, we appreciate it. We got great information here. We're going to continue to deliver it. However, you have to be an advocate for yourself. Go deeper. Go find out. Don't believe me. Try it for yourself. Support local farmers. If you can get a cow, you can buy your eggs fresh. By all means, we want for you to do foods that you can get locally. You know where they're grown, you know where they're raised, you know how they were slaughtered. That is possible to happen. But if nothing else, look for quality meats when you are in the store. I would much rather see you eat a ton of hot dogs, a ton of bacon, versus continuing to think that there are some health properties related to eating a plant-based diet. Now, hear me when I say, and I say this often, there are some medicinal properties, but we're not talking about being sick. We're talking about when you are well, how to get well is to take those things out. And tonight I have a challenge for you all before I turn it over to Robin. I am a part of the metabolic revolution, and we are in the process of demanding protection for children who are being fed ultra-processed foods in schools daily in schools. So tonight you have an opportunity to go to the Metabolic Revolution website and sign a petition that will ban ultra-processed foods from school meals. This is an opportunity for us, just like Dr. Martin Luther King stood up, the civil rights movement. It takes the people to start to speak and not be pleased and happy with what is happening to make it to make a difference. So tonight, Metabolic Revolution, our health, our right. We have a right to be healthy. So this is the petition that is out right now. While we have a new administration coming in, let's speak loudly about what we are hoping for, what we plan to have happen. Now, the Metabolic Revolution also, the whole purpose of it is for us to work to get the dietary guidelines changed. So you can go to the Metabolic Revolution website. You can become a part of that. You can get newsletters as we are continuing to move forward. But I am actively working. If I got any of my educator friends that are listening tonight, today, go to the Metabolic Revolution. On the homepage of the Metabolic Revolution, you will see an opportunity to actually go to, I'm going to take you out to it real quickly. Let me share.
This is good information.
Once on the page, immediately when you get here at the very top, ban ultra processed foods from school meals, sign the petition. You click on that, you can go and add your name. We are gathering names. And right now, there are conversations happening with Robert F. Kennedy, who is the nominee for health. I'm actually excited about things that I've heard him say related to health. We're not going to get into politics, but I'm just saying that to you tonight. This is who the nominee is. This is who we want to hear our voices. So you get a chance tonight to sign the petition to ask that they ban ultra-processed foods from schools. The last thing I'll say about that. Every one of us know a child that's in school. Every one of us knows someone who is suffering with ADHD. We're sending our kids to school. We're trying to keep them healthy, and they have no choices. So one of the things we're working on is the USDA has already said that it should be 10% less sugar, but they're talking in 5 years. And I'm saying tonight on this MLK Day, we don't have 5 years to wait. How many more kids have to be diagnosed with a sickness? How many more kids have to be on meds in order to keep them in a seat? How many people have to suffer with a mental illness because we've made it okay for these foods to be eaten? Again, if you don't believe me, you don't believe Robin, you don't believe G, Google for yourself what ultra-processed foods are doing to the body. So I thank you all tonight for continuing to join us. Tonight is super special to me, Martin Luther King. I am from Memphis, Tennessee. I lived in Memphis my whole life. I've been to the Civil Rights Museum. When I was a teacher, I took my children to the Civil Rights Museum. I've done events there. It's a lovely place. If you've never been to Memphis, hey, hit it to Memphis. And let's just celebrate MLK today. Be proud of the work that he has done. It is upon us to keep that going. So thank you all tonight. Go sign up. And if I can be helpful, look me up. Advocator, coach, educator. That's me. Robin, take it away.
Hey, everybody. Good evening. Happy MLK Day. Super excited to be back again with you tonight. There was something that Denitra mentioned that I really wanted to touch on before I go into my segment. And that is that we are expecting our kids to be at their best, but we are not giving them their best fuel to be able to function. So, kids love Takis, but Takis are not food. They are not food. Give your kid a cheese stick. Give your kid a beef stick. All those ultra processed foods, just like you have brain fog and you can barely function. It's even worse for them, for the little small bodies that are being totally polluted with these toxins. So just wanted to chime in on that. I'm all about the kiddos. I got those 11 grandkids that I think about every single day and concern myself with. So tonight, I want to talk about health as a revolutionary act, it being Martin Luther King Day. We know that Denitra just showed us her shirt and talked about the metabolic revolution. But what we know is that chronic disease has become so normalized in our society that we just accept it as inevitable. It's aging, or, it was in my family. My grandmother had it, my mom had it, and now I have it. When you don't necessarily have to follow that same vicious cycle of chronic disease. It's the food. G always says it's the food. And that's the thing is that, but do we believe that it's the food? That's a challenge. But what if reclaiming your health was the ultimate act of self-advocacy and, and taking ownership of your own body, your own well-being, basically challenging those systems that profit from sickness and dependency. So who stands to make the most from a society that is chronically sick with a million different diseases? You know what I'm saying? It's not you and me that's benefiting from that. Who stands to benefit the most from foods that are ultra addictive, that, as we mentioned earlier, are designed to be ultra palatable and to get you hooked on it? Who stands to benefit the most from that? It's not you and me that's benefiting the most. So, taking back ownership of your own body, being your own advocate, your own self-advocate, and, standing up for your own personal body, right? So all these diseases that I'm going to just kind of talk a little bit about myself, because these are the things that I thought that were chronic that I could never get rid of. Number one was seasonal allergies. I took allergy pill every single day, twice a day, plus Benadryl every day, every night. And so basically, seasonal allergies, I thought were something that were just there. Like it's just, I have allergies. And I did not realize that it was the food that was causing me to be so allergic to everything. I was allergic to something every single season, all year round. I had runny eyes. I had, itchy nose, all that stuff. Not to say that I never have that anymore, but the chronic, every single day having to take an allergy pill is just ridiculous, and it's unnecessary, and it doesn't have to be that way. What about IBS? Like some people have IBS with constipation. Some people have IBS. They're constantly running to the bathroom with diarrhea. What if IBS is not a chronic illness and it's just, what if you don't have to live like that, you know? And so many others. Diabetes, they said diabetes is a chronic, incurable disease. It's never going to go away. You will always have it all of your life, and it's going to do nothing but get worse until your limbs start rotting off, and they're going to have to cut off your limbs, and you're going to lose your eyesight and all these different things. And it's just not true. So challenge those systems that profit from our being sick. And it's not us. I think somebody said big pharma. Yeah, big pharma and big food are the ones that have the most to benefit from a chronically sick society. I was talking to Dr. Ovadia a few weeks ago, and he was telling me that they had said when he decided to become a cardiac surgeon, they were like, that's a terrible idea, because in a few years you're going to be work yourself out of a job, because we're going to cure heart disease. Okay. And so what has happened? We've seen this exponential growth in all of these chronic diseases, including heart disease. And it's the food. It is the food. So why is reclaiming your own health a revolutionary act? We're defying the status quo. We are thinking outside of the box here, right? So the box has said that my plate is the way that you're supposed to eat. Your federal government is going to tell you how you are supposed to eat, and this is the best way for you to eat. And all these companies that are making all this money off of us being sick are going to tell you how you're supposed to eat, right? So we are going to defy that status quo, realizing that these chronic illnesses they're not just part of aging. I think about my grandmother who got diabetes at an older age, probably like in her 60s, because of course the way she ate was more like what Denitra described, with the greens and with a little bit of meat in it and those kinds of things. But the ultra processed foods that we have today, she did not. She never had that. So she did get diabetes at a later age. But if she wasn't eating cakes and pies and cookies and, all of those sweet things, she may never have gotten diabetes to begin with. So it's not genetics. The reason that your grandmother had it and your mother had it is because they both ate the same way, right? So they both ate the same way, and they ended up with this thing that they're calling something that was genetic, but you do not have to follow in that same pattern. So fighting against the narrative is a bold, revolutionary choice. We also want to break these cycles, right? Break the cycle that says, because my mom had it and my grandma had it, now I have to have it. Let's break that cycle. So you're not only changing that cycle for yourself, but for your generation. So I'm thinking about my grandkids, I want them to know, and I've talked to them about this. They live with their parents, of course. And so I'm not in charge of what they eat. But what I tell them is, if you ever get sick with anything, you need to go carnivore. Go carnivore. Just eat meat. If you ever get sick with any kind of disease, if it's cancer, if it's diabetes, if it's yada, 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 all down the list of all these different diseases that that are in society right now. And I think about Dr. Kiltz, who says that all disease is a function of a plant-based way of eating. So that, and you can, like Denitra said, if you don't believe me, you can look it up and Google it for yourself.
And Robin, I just want to add to that. So we have been taught that meat is inflammatory. I hear oftentimes people say things like, I can't digest meat. Meat makes this. But this is the question that I want to say to everyone who's listening live or those that listen to the replay. When, other than us talking to you about carnivore, have you sat down and just ate a plate of meat? and tell me then that that meat you could not digest. So what I often hear is it's a steak, it's a baked potato, it's a salad, it was the macaroni, it was the, so everything else was sugar except for the meat.
Yes, absolutely. 100%. So, and that's the thing, is that you will hear that I can't eat that much meat. It makes my stomach hurt. But nobody sits around and just eats a plate of meat. You're always eating something else with it. You're eating some sort of side dish. And last week we talked about side dishes and how, like, if you're used to having three things on your plate, you can still have three things on your plate. It just needs to be like a steak and some shrimp and some chicken. You can still have three things. You can still have sides, but your sides need to be meat based. Maybe you want to do some deviled eggs or something like that. All right. So break the cycle for yourself, for your community, for your family. All right. So carnivore diet is a tool for self-determination. Okay. It simplifies health in a way that gives you back control. How in control do you feel of your eating choices? I know that before I went on carnivore, I had this chronic obsessiveness about food. Like, I was constantly thinking about food. I was constantly worried about it. What am I going to eat? What did I just eat? Da, 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 da. Do I need to go to the store? And just on and on and on and on. Going on carnivore, which I considered as an elimination diet, and you can do the same thing. I'm going to eliminate everything except for the meat and the eggs, and if you like cheese, dairy, those kinds of things, the meat-based products, right? I'm going to eliminate everything else, and then and you'll find that your control. It says give back control, but I never had control my whole life. I never actually had control until I went on carnivore at the age of 57. 57 years of my life, I did not have control of my eating. I didn't have control the way I thought about food. I didn't have control of my relationship with food until now that I'm on carnivore. So it's not about obsessing over calories. So I see a lot of people in the comments sometimes asking, well, what about calories? Calories are a construct. Our body does not burn anything. It doesn't get hot enough to burn calories in the way that this calorie construct does it, right? So you're thinking about energy and what's the other word I'm trying to look for? So you got protein and fat
And carbohydrates.
and carbohydrates.
The thing I want
right?
to say right there, Robin, is the reason why calorie counting doesn't work. A simple example I give, and I think I've said it before, you have a donut that has 300 calories, you have a piece of salmon that has 300 calories. What they're going to do inside your body is totally different. This is why calorie in, calorie out doesn't work, is because what that donut does to your body is not the same.
Right, exactly. So when they say that you can have 100-calorie pack of Oreos, right? 100 calories or you can have some broccoli. That is no way the same. It's not going to be treated the same within your body. Doesn't matter how many calories it is, right? So calories is a construct, but you do need to be able to read food labels. We've been talking about that over the last few weeks, about how to read the food labels, how to understand, does it have sugar in it? How to understand how many carbohydrates is in there, how many sugars, when you break that carbohydrate down, how many sugars it is, and etc. So this is about fueling your body with what it truly needs. Okay. So it simplifies our approach to health by cutting through the noise. This is not a fad diet. So first of all, I want to say that if you are thinking that if you are thinking that this is going to be a I almost said a get rich quick scheme, a lose weight fast scheme, right? A fad diet, just like all the other fad diets that you ever been on. You've been on Weight Watchers, and you've been on Jenny Craig, and you went on the medical weight loss, and you did all these fad diets. Did that work for you? Probably not, or else you might not be here listening to us tonight if it really worked for you. Carnivore diet is not a fad diet. It's not a crash diet, although some people do lose weight fast. But it is not that. It's more of a healing protocol. It's about healing your body from the inside out. All right. So it cuts through the noise. It's super, super simple. Eat the meat, and that's it. Eat the meat, eat the eggs. If you can tolerate cheese, eat some cheese. So eating primarily animal-based foods allows your body to reset, heal. Here's the thing. Hashtag meat heals. Okay. Hashtag meat heals. And it does. And what they want to tell you is that meat is going to make you sick. Meat is going to give you a heart attack. Meat is going to it's going to sit in your stomach and rot. Those are all misinformation, disinformation. That's just not true. Meat heals. All of the things that are going on inside of your body are being caused by overconsumption of plants. So I want you to know that. So it allows your body to reset, heal, and thrive. And you don't have a constant guessing game, right? So it's just going to be meat, right? Boosting your confidence and control. When you feel better physically, it naturally boosts your confidence. I just think about all of the carnivore influencers out here that I hear saying, I was a stone cold introvert. I didn't even talk to people, and on and on and on. And now they're just super confident. You see them out here on their channels. You would never guess that they had social anxiety. I fit in that category of having social anxiety. And it builds your confidence, boosts your confidence. You regain your control over cravings, energy levels, your moods, and that spills into other areas of your life. So I want to give us a couple of quotes from MLK since it's his day today. So Dr. King said, faith is taking the first step even when you don't see the whole staircase. This applies to health journeys as well. Sometimes it feels overwhelming to change your habits. This is the thing. Like, you got to think about this. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, right? So you're going to eat that elephant one bite at a time. We're not looking at the whole thing. I'm never going to be able to eat all the things I love for the rest of my life, yada, yada, yada. You don't have to think like that. We're going to eat the elephant one bite at a time. So don't get overwhelmed with, I need to change everything about my habits, but take the first step. It can lead to transformation, transformative results. And then another quote was, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? So we talked about the metabolic health revolution. Go out there and sign the petition. This is about the kids. So we know that the food that the kids are eating in schools are toxic to their bodies, and we cannot expect them to be their best with the foods that they are eating. So go out there and sign the petition. But by reclaiming your own health, you can become an inspiration to others to do the same. G was just telling us a story. G, I'm going to steal your story because that was so cool what you were saying. Now they're sitting at the table. They're on the ship. They're sitting at the table with some other people, right? And the other people are watching how they're eating. The next day, that person starts eating how they're eating. That person starts eating carnivore right there on the ship, decides to make a change right there in the moment. So that is really cool. You can be an inspiration for others to do the same. So your journey might be the spark that somebody needs to start their own revolution. So my call to action for tonight is to embrace your health journey as a radical act of love for yourself and your community. This is not just about you. It's not just about us. This is about an entire society that is sick. I think I read somewhere that it's like up, was it like close to 90% of society, of the American
Yes,
society
so in America, 93% of Americans are metabolically unhealthy, which means 93% of us have insulin resistance. So when you try to have this conversation with people, you rub them the wrong way. But again, we continue to show on this show, and thank you, G, for your photography, because insulin resistance has a look, it doesn't have a size.
Yes.
Insulin resistance has a look. And so when we don't deal with that look, all of those are the look of insulin resistance. And we need to start calling it out. This is not about body shaming. This is
No.
about hopefully helping someone recognize themselves or recognize someone we love and having an opportunity to try to save them. Because this is all reversible. It is literally the foods that's being eaten.
It is the food. It is the food. You guys, it is the food that's causing your problem. Whatever that problem is, it's the food. Okay. So share your project progress and struggles. I want to just put in a plug for our Hey Sister Girl Facebook group, because out there we are sharing our progress, we're sharing our struggles, we're talking about what we're eating in a day, we're uplifting and helping one another. It's about community, because sometimes you're going to be the only person that's in your group that's doing this, and it can be hard. So hey, sister girl, come and join our Facebook group. So hopefully this has helped someone. I would love to see, let me know down in the chat if you're considering doing carnivore, if you're not already doing it. Are you considering doing something with the carnivore way of eating? And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to my friend G.
Hey everybody, it's G Brown, the lifestyle changer, and I'm on a ship. And I have a whole skit right here, but Robin has touched on some things, Denitra has touched on some things, so I just kind of want to regurgitate out how they brought it in. Robin just shared with you guys how I'm on a ship, I'm at dinner, and one individual who's sitting at a whole different table, I noticed on the first evening, just kind of ate the fish, nothing else, because people are hearing me place my order for the week. And y'all, she ordered 2 hamburger patties for tomorrow at dinner. And her reasoning is arthritis. That was number one, because that was the question that was asked. Now, if you didn't broke it all the way down bone to bone, I don't know your healing process, but I can tell you I had 2 bulging discs, and that's the one picture I don't have in here, is to actually show you. I have the image. 2 separate occasions they wanted to do back surgery, and what they would do for your back, they would fuse it, right? So this part would no longer bend. That part of my back would be like that. I was afraid they would mess up and I was forever in a wheelchair. I wasn't ready for a wheelchair. I felt I was not that old. I'm this old, not that old. So I didn't want it. Well, I need for you to understand, I need no surgery now. I have 0 back pain. I no longer get back injections. I no longer have to take those high dose Percocets that I did for 3 years. I no longer have to have any of those things. So now my insides feel remarkable. I feel like I've gone up on the mountain. I've seen God. I come back to tell you. But because of the life that we have been led to live, through the school lunches, right? Through the food that we have, that's what you know. You know that imperial margin dun, 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 is good for you. No, it's not. They even talk about that some plastics and things like that are in it. It's about feeding you cheaply. It's inexpensive. They charge you a lot for it, but it's inexpensive. You keep saying, "Ooh, meat costs a lot." Eat a hot dog. Eat hamburger. And guess which burger you need to buy? 70/30. It's already the cheapest one. Get it. That's what you need. Cook with it. Eat the fat. I know what we are saying goes against everything. So after you process and then start thinking about, woo, but you know, at nighttime, I like my ice cream. Have your ice cream in 30 days. You know, some bread and butter. Ooh, I don't know if I can give up them hot rolls. Don't give them up. Just give them up for 30 days. So all the things I'm just asking for 30 days. But here's the thing. You are so addicted. That's how we can tell you that all things outside of meat is toxic. That's how we can tell you that. Let me tell you why. When you stop drinking that caffeine, them sodas, the juice, you're going to have the withdrawals, right? Just like you would if you were on cocaine, crack, withdrawals. Your body almost going through the same thing. But if I decide to fast for 5 days, I don't have those issues because my body is not detoxing from meat. None of that stuff that you are going to go through is what it is that we have. So I say to you, I don't know another way. You're killing yourself. We are literally dying. Last week, I showed this ankle right here, the skin. That was not a suntan. This woman, if I had to guess, probably weighed about 140 pounds. If I had to guess, she has no ankle. The fluid has settled. You know about fluid? I know you do. Because once we got older, they started telling us, these are the things that's going to happen to your body. The lies that they tell. I put in the comments about Tabitha Brown. I started with Tabitha. Her body was sick, thought she was dying. Her daughter came home and said, "Ma, try this, vegan." She did it for 30 days. Well, here's the, do you know how much she cut out? So her body started feeling better. So now all of a sudden, she thought that was it. But Denitra said last week about taking an antibiotic after you're healed. That's what vegetables, their medicinal use. She also said, these are the things that stick with me, and maybe you didn't see the show last week, so maybe I need to repeat this to you. As hungry as an animal is, she said the lion, but I started thinking about all kinds of things. As hungry as those animals are, they'll die before they start eating the grass. You did not see the lion go over and pick some berries or a banana off the ground to save his life. He gonna land that same on that peel, that banana, and just die if he doesn't have meat. I didn't look at the skin being the way that it is as that's your skin on the outside decaying. That he didn't go through a mud patch. That's his legs. That's a Caucasian man's legs. He didn't kick up dirt. He wasn't out on an excursion. His skin is decaying. But they'll give you an ointment. They ain't turn around and tell you, ooh, it's something you eat. But when we were younger, if your face broke out, what did it tell you? Stop drinking them sodas. Well, there's some stuff they know that you shouldn't do where a connection was made. But so much is readily available for us. The last thing I'm going to say is the 3 types of diabetes that we have. And the reason why I'm sharing this is because when I saw about type 3 and what they said in 30 years, people 50, as young as 50, will have dementia. So in 30 years, if it's 50, that means they 20 now. So these 20-year-olds that they're talking about, their future is dementia. So I say, so why don't you tell them now about the sugar? Because we used to get the prizes in the cereal box, which kind of determines which box of cereal we were going to get. But that's not how it is anymore, because we got addicted to the Frosted Flakes and the Fruit Loops and the Lucky Charms and the Frosty and the Sugar Pebble, Fruity Pebbles, all this other stuff, right? We turn around and put it in a Ziploc bag and give it to our kids. They got super donuts at the school. All these other different things. So yeah, by the time they 50, they won't know their family members. Dementia will set in. So instead of telling them now in their 20s, hey, I'm going to need you to stop eating that. No, dementia waiting on you. That ain't what they did. You know what they did? They're building facilities for folks with dementia. That's the new type 3 diabetes. Oh, yeah, I got you, boo. That's the new type 3 diabetes. That's it right there. I want a message to get to Tabitha so bad to say, listen, you can keep all your vegan stuff you got going. But sister girl, well, ain't nobody looking. I'm going to need you to eat some meat. And you watch just how your life is going to change. So we all hit on it, but I will tell you what I was supposed to talk about. I was supposed to talk about the impact of personal health on my family. Everybody knows in regards to a carnivore. And if I was at home, baby, I will show you my refrigerator. Oh, I'm going to do that. But next time I record, we do this show from home, I'm going to open my cabinets for you. I'm going to open my refrigerator for you. I'm going to open my freezer for you. And I'm going to show you what's going on in this carnivore house. I don't have any of those things. None whatsoever. People come to the house. If you got to have a side, you need to bring your own side. Do you let people smoke in your house? Do you let people just do drugs in your house? Now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know if I'm gonna let you eat that in my house. Okay, well, I was supposed to talk about that. So breaking the generational cycles. Ironically, Robin said that because another individual at dinner, that's one of the things they said. Oh, this runs in my family. That same food run in your family, baby. Let me tell you what you're supposed to go to the doctor for. You had a slip and fall. You fell on the ice. Go on to the doctor. All right? You're in a car accident. Go on to the doctor. Kids playing, fell on the arm. Go to the doctor. But all these other trips that you making to the doctor and taking home medicine. And here's the messed up part. You really want to know what's going on with you. You really, really do. So you go to the doctor. They write you the prescription. Some of y'all get it filled and never take it because you ain't feeling it. So then you try, it's like, well, they told me what I have. Now I'm going to fix myself. And you're going to make some smoothies. You're going to do all this other stuff. I had never heard of IBS, Crohn's. I heard of lupus. But I want y'all to know we got somebody on the panel that was diagnosed with lupus by 2 different doctors. And they do not currently have lupus due to the carnivore diet. All right? All of these things that we are talking about, when we come on here and we share, sister girl, don't you want to leave a legacy? I'm going to go back even early on. Are you having irregular cycles? Are you having a problem with your pregnancy or even getting pregnant? It ain't the perm that you put in your hair. I ain't saying perms didn't do something bad. I'm not saying that. I'm saying it right now in your womb, it's the food.
It's the food.
But let's say that you managed to make it through pregnancy. Thank you, Lord. Now the baby on the spectrum. Now now that's my friend right there. Charmaine, I have a lot of people, we know that is not true. It's the food that's running in your family. That's why she LOLing on there. I love her so. But I'm just saying, guys, listen. That's what we want to say. But you done went through the pregnancy. Now you've had the baby, and it's almost like we tossing up. Is my child gonna be ADHD or on the spectrum? Which that them your choices. Because you find very few in the middle that all is well.
Yep.
You really, really do. And then we're gonna try and do the best we can. So we make them little pancakes, the little what are silver dollar
$50
pancakes.
pancakes.
There you go. And put it in a Ziploc bag. Wait a minute. They blueberry pancakes with all the stuff over in it, but you got to put a little maple syrup over in it. And it's processed maple syrup because it ain't real. And you put it in there and they put their hands down in there and they eat and the syrup and all that others everywhere. It's going on and on and on. You didn't give them any bacon or anything like that. Not even with the cereal. We just don't. So hear what we saying. We be back next week and
We
we're
have a
gonna say it.
question.
We're
We
gonna
have a
say it
question.
again. Yeah, we're gonna say it again, even next week. And then before, don't go anywhere because I'm gonna show you before and afters of us. So you can see that we have not arrived, but we on the path, baby. We on the path. Go ahead. All right, QQQ. How often should we eat meat as a carnivore? I think everybody on the panel will say something different. When I'm on the ship, if I want to get off talking to y'all and go get me a hamburger, I will. I mean, it's one of the, I think I eat too much on the ship because somebody else done cooked it. That's it. But overall, my husband is, oh man, one a day. I probably eat a couple of times a day. And eat when you hungry. It's okay. Eat when you hungry. And in a way, it's like, how do you know that you've had enough? Does the food still taste good to you?
Right.
If
Yep.
it does, get another bite. Oh my God. But wait a minute. But if you tasting it and it's food, but it's not tasting as good, like when you got that first bite, okay, because you probably approaching that you had enough. So really quick, let me see, who is this? That's my before and after. I like that top there. Wait a minute, we got another one. Hello, come on, before and
Hello,
after.
somebody.
Ooh.
Okay, look at my, yep. Now this
Yes, that's
one,
me, you guys. I showed this picture to my kid, to my daughter over the weekend. My granddaughter, they were like, that is not you. Yes, it is. That's me.
and Robin, would you please tell the people from all the medications that the doctor had you on, the different creams, what removed and made your face look like this?
Carnivore. Nothing worked. Nothing worked. My daughter even bought me some creams from a doctor that said, oh, this is definitely going to work, $100 worth of creams, and didn't do anything.
What
Nothing.
I want to say, the thing is, what caused it was something plant-based. That is a decaying eye. That's what's happening to her eyes, is that she
Can you
was
put that
dying.
back up, G?
Yeah. So
Wait a
what
minute,
was
wait a minute.
what
I
was
got one even better. Do you mean to tell me that had nothing to do with she needed some sleep?
no,
Girl, you been up too late. You need some rest. Look at them dark circles under your eyes.
just the swelling. All of that is what we call inflammation. And there is, and you go to the doctor back and forth, and they continue to try to treat it. Oh, we don't know what caused it. Oh, go do less of this, go do this. What is causing it is something that you're eating. And when you remove those things from your diet, then you give your body a chance. Your body is not meant to process ultra processed foods, and in most cases, 99.9 times percent, you are not supposed to be eating plants. Like, I know that that's a hard thing for people to swallow.
Yeah.
But even when we talk about root causes, the root cause of inflammation, insulin resistance, diabetes, root, hear that word, root. The root cause is roots. It is something from the ground that is causing that, because our bodies have no place to metabolize it. And so it stores on us, it fights to get out in some kind of way. Yours may be eyes, yours may be the back of your neck, the back of your ear, hanging on your arm, double chins. But that thing is fighting to get out. And that's what we call storing inflammation.
Okay, Denitra said that her and I both were vegan. Here I am. All right. Yes, I wore it well, honey. 260 plus right there on. Yep, that's me. Now all the four in the middle, she was vegan. I was vegan for 4.5 years. That was me. But now look at me on the right, carnivore. That's when the weight fell off. Now, how long, G, did the weight take to fall off? I don't calorie count. I don't do any of those things. I started this, and it probably, let's just give it, I've been doing this almost 2 years. So let's say 1 year. 1 year. That 1 year we're going by whether I wanted to or not. But I'll tell you right now, this sister girl will never be big again. Never. Never, ever, never, ever, forever, ever be big. I say that. First of all, food represents pain to me. That, I look at that and it's like, girl, you missed this, and you turn around and I look in my head when people sit up and do that, and I'm looking at them, I think about what your insides are going through. Your insides is yelling at you, especially when you get up out that chair and all that fluid then stiffens you up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to stand up and you think that's old age and normal. Well, I'm 60 and I don't do that anymore. So there it is. That's the show. We will, excuse me, Dr. Martin Luther King, we appreciate each and everything that you have done. Your legacy moves forth in all of us. I know that it's a better life that he desired for all of us. In your health, in your wealth, and just who you are. So we'll be back next week. Now, if you want to be part of the Hey Sister Girl group, I'm going to give everybody in the panel their last moments and we get out of here. We'll be back. We'll be back to share this again with you. Look, find another way to turn around, twist the words, and say, hey, sister girl, plants are nothing but sugar. You should only have 1 teaspoon of sugar in your body in a 24-hour period. That God gave you an organ in your body that was designed strictly for meat. That's your gallbladder. It has bile in it, and it secretes the bile on vegetables. No, it don't. It holds the bile. It won't secrete on vegetables. It secretes on the beans, greens, hey, tomato. No, it don't. So then when you keep eating that crap that doesn't allow it to do its job, and now the bile has turned into sludge, it's seeping poison back, and next thing you know, you got a surgery. That's my husband's story. You know why? Because I was vegan and refused to serve meat at home and took his gallbladder right on that. I always tell him I did it. Because I did not prepare meat at home. I don't want to smell it. It ain't good for you anyway. And so now the man walks around without a gallbladder. And I know without a shadow of a doubt, that is what went on the inside, that it turned into sludge and started poisoning him.
Mm-hmm. And let me just say this, G, as my closing.
Yes, go ahead.
One of the things that I hear often, and I just want to put this in the atmosphere, one of the things that I hear often is that when I'm telling people about, if I show them pictures of clients I've worked with, how they have improved, they were plant-based, they added meat, or they took beans out their diet, they stopped eating. People always say this statement is, well, everybody's body is different. It's not. Everybody's body is not different. Now, The differences with everybody's body is where you enter into this thing. But the universal thing is that carbohydrates are not good for anyone. They are non-essential to our bodies. No one needs or should have carbohydrates, period. Now, am I saying don't eat them? No. So I want to say that clearly is that whatever is happening to your body. So, for example, I had a lady I was working with. She was still eating oatmeal and she was dropping weight. She had not reached the point in her age where she had some diagnosis of some other people that I was working with that had like PCOS. They had more severe damage. That's the only thing that's different. But the answer is never plants. I'm sorry. It's never going to be plants. It is going to be to remove that and see how your body does. You can't stomach right now a full steak because you have damaged some things, right? I know some people who have acid reflux that struggle with trying to swallow. Mm-hmm. That is where those differences lie. And this is why I call it finding your formula. But the formula still includes meat. Yes. It still includes removing and eliminating processed foods and as many plants as possible so that you can give your body an opportunity to heal. Now, I want to pause so that we can go through, because I saw a couple of other questions in the chat so that we can at least, one of us can answer a question so that we make sure that we don't leave without getting questions. I see Karen Loach saying that she started this because of chronic pain. She's overweight and her problem is chronic pain. You in the right place, sister.
That was my story.
Yeah.
Like I said again, y'all, I didn't know. I don't know what I was thinking about when they put that needle in my back and shot that solution in. My whole body started doing this, and I just started crying. And she said, "Ma'am, I need you to be still." I said, "I'm not shaking my body; it's doing it on its own." And here I am. I'm in so much pain that I'm willing to do this. But just listen to what I said. They done stuck a needle in my back. That is my central nervous system to continue to walk. My body is doing this on the table. I could not stop my body from shaking. So guess what we did? Instead of saying, "Hey, sister girl, stop eating this, this, and this," they gave me a little pill to take before I got the injection. And that little pill, I was like, "Go ahead, boo, stick my back. I'm good." That's what they did, not trying to get me off the table. But now, and I done went out the door with 3 months of Percocets. So now I done went out the door with that. I done got my back injection, and then they done gave me a la pill beforehand to keep my body from doing this while I'm getting an injection. And somewhere, we thought that's okay. That's a way of treating the body. I was never supposed to go through that because I should have never had that food inside of me, which ended up making me to that point. So I'm going to say, I know you think about, I was addicted to candy. There are some days I prefer to eat candy over food. That's that sugar. Oh my God. Forget that. My husband say, "You ain't gonna eat nothing." And I look, and next thing you know, I got a bag of potato chips. Just junk all day. And wonder why I was big.
Yeah. We're gonna jump down the comments. So this is Country Girl saying, "School lunches are terrible. I work in a food service at a high school. I'd be like, they are poisoning these kids." Hey, Country Girl, get them, take that link, share it with the parents at your school, get them to sign the petitions. Parents can make enough noise. I see Sharon in here. Can you pull her up, Robin? Sharon HQ65.
Oh yeah, we popped that one up quickly.
Okay. I think we've covered them all.
Yeah, I think we have.
Great job, Terry, on noticing yes, you take the potatoes out, take the steak and include it as just having steak. Yes, you're gonna see some decrease in that. Well, ladies, tonight we had a good
sound
night.
like my story. Yeah. So hey, happy ain't no happy because he ain't here, but happy birthday. It would have been his birthday, Dr. Martin Luther King. And here's the thing, guys. We're talking about that moment in time, but this the new moment right here. We are in it. This is our MLK time. If we don't make a change, your future is going to be, look, sickness. Okay? It is. And you're going to one day just think back to this moment. But aren't you sick and tired of getting up? Aren't you sick and tired? Look, aren't you sick and tired of your knuckles swelling? But they told us it came from popping our knuckles when we was younger. My bones used to pop. They don't pop no more. We've been killing ourselves slowly for a long time. We're the smartest, dumbest people that I know. We're the only people that walk around, only thing on earth that eat outside of what we were intended to do. And I love saying this, and I'm done.
All
When
right,
you gave,
everybody.
when you gave that baby that food, those vegetables and that fruit, and that baby did you like this, didn't want it. But the moment you gave them that chicken bone or that steak bone, they gnawed on it forever. And it had nothing to do with teething. You finally gave that baby what they wanted. See y'all next week.
Thanks, everybody. Hey, sister
Mwah.
girl.